All right. Well, I think we're live. So I want to introduce Officer Gomez. He has been in the fight against, digital dangers and helping parents protect their children from online exploitation and other difficulties online. He's been doing that for the past 10 years, and he is also an active duty police officer. So without further ado, we're going to let him dive in, and he has a lot of great information for you, so please be ready to take notes.
All right, we're going to share a screen here. Oh, it's on me too. We're getting there. We're getting there. Give me just a moment while I share my screen so you guys can get this. All right, here we go. Can you see my screen yet?
Not quite yet, no.
Okay, here we go. Did that work?
Might just be on my end, but not quite visible yet. Let me check our YouTube.
Mama.
No, it's not showing up.
Okay, we're getting there here.
Okay, we'll
I
figure
had
it out.
this share screen.
I know it worked when we did the test run, so we should be able to find out.
Here we go, window, entire screen. How's that?
Hi.
And
Hi.
share. Did it work?
I am so sorry. It is not showing up.
We'll get there. Let me try one more time here. Let's do it.
Okay.
If not, we'll just have to go a cappella. Still nothing?
I am sorry. No.
Okay, no big deal. We'll just go a cappella.
Do you want to try the link that we tried for the test run? Was that a different link? Because I know it worked for that.
Yes, it did. Let's see if I do entire screen and do this and do a share. And I didn't change anything. Let me just information for everything here. Everybody hold on here. We got some good information coming to you.
Mama.
Share window, StreamYard. Oh. Oh, I almost had it. Are you there still?
Yes, I'm still here.
I know why it worked when we tested it, and then now it's not wanting to go. Let's see here. Let's go with parents, present, and then we'll come back here. Still nothing.
Oh dear. Okay.
Okay, no problem. Watch this. We'll do this a cappella. I've done this a cappella plenty times.
No.
Okay.
No. Sit down.
Okay, so I am Officer Gomez. I am a real police officer in Idaho. And so today I'm going to be talking to you about social media dangers that I've encountered. I have some pretty slides, but the slides aren't anything compared to what I'm really going to tell you here. So I currently work as a school resource officer at a school of 300 students, K through 12. I've previously worked at a giant high school with 2,300 students, grades 9 through 12, and a middle school with 1,200 students, grades 6th, 7th, and 8th. And so I'm going to share a little bit today about what I have learned working in those schools, working with students, and working with the social media apps and finding and prosecuting predators all around. So when I first went to the middle school, I started at the middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, 1,200 students. What I found is that the kids had put everything on social media, whether it's fights, drug dealing, suicidal tendencies, dating, everything was on social media. So, in order to educate myself on social media, I made a fake Facebook page. And with that Facebook page, I friended about 20 students at my school that were all popular kids. They all accepted me within about an hour or two of after I sent them my friend request. They all accepted me. Well, it was kind of a surprise to me because not one of them asked me who I was. After I had those 20 friends, I never had to friend another kid, but because I had friends in common with them, I started being added left and right by all the students at my school. Within about 3 months, I had over 500 friends on my fake Facebook page that were at my school, which is incredible that they were all friending me without having any idea who I was. Well, now that I had them, I could see what was important to kids. I could see what they were talking about. I could know their language. I could see who they were dating. I could see who was bringing drugs to school, who was cheating on tests. I became really good at finding runaways because I had this social media connection to all the kids. And they just thought I was a student at their own school. Well, as time went by, I started doing a little bit of math. And my math included whenever my own department would arrest a predator, I would always type that predator's name into my social media profile and see how many friends I had in common with them. And so what ended up happening is I had 30, 40, 50 friends in common with these predators that we were arresting in our city, which meant those predators had friends at my school, which were kids, and they had 20, 30, 40 friends at my school. And I would ask the kids, hey, do you know this person we arrested? Nope, I don't. Not only of them had any clue. And so then it became a huge concern to me that kids were accepting everybody. I mean, it was a surprise that they accepted me, a cop pretending to be a kid, but it was a bigger surprise that they had sexual predators they were talking to. Number one, they didn't know they were friends with sexual predators. Number two, their parents definitely didn't know they were not only friends with them, but they were talking to them in private conversations. So then began my education of the kids. And so I would go into classrooms and I start teaching classes and I'd tell kids, hey, raise your hand if you have social media. And the kids would start raising their hands. I'd say, you know what? Put your hands down. I already know who has social media because I'm your friends with my fake account. And of course, all the kids were like, oh, Gomez, I feel like you're creeping on me. I am going to delete you right away. I'd say, go ahead, delete me. And they'd look at their phones and they'd look at me and they'd look at their phones and they'd say, hey, Gomez, which one of my 800 friends are you? Which one of my 3,000 friends are you? And I'd say, hey, look, I'm not saying delete everybody you don't know and you'll have deleted me. And so, of course, the kids would get together and start hunting parties to see if they could find who my account was. And so it never failed that I'd come in the next day and there'd be somebody at my office like, Gomez, last night the kids thought my account was your account and now I have no friends, which was kind of funny, but it was a little bit sad. And the kids never did find my fake account, but the education started getting out. Now, some of the kids would delete their entire accounts and then start over with only people they knew. Some kids would just go by onesie twosies and try and filter out to only friends that they knew. Some kids just didn't care that a police officer was following them. But either way, the education started getting out about friending people you didn't know. Well, after about a year of this, and I knew the education was out, I decided to test my kids. So I made a account of a 13-year-old girl, and I started friending my kids again at my school. Well, what happened this second time, because I'd already educated them, the kids started not accepting me. In fact, I started getting banned by Facebook for adding friends that I didn't know. First time I got banned for 7 days and 14 days and 21 days, and then they threatened to shut down my account altogether. Well, so what I did next is with this 13-year-old girl account, it probably took me 3 or 4 months to get 100 friends on that account. And so what I did next is I opened that up to friends of friends. So if you were friends with my kids at the school, you could be my friend on my 13-year-old girl account. Well, I started getting Adult men, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds, started friending my fake 13-year-old girl. Now, she's not anybody's church. She's not anybody's friend. She's not anybody's family. And I was having a significant amount of adult men friending this girl. And it was a clean account. I didn't put anything, no sexualization, anything on there. And these adult men were friending her. Now, for the most part, a lot of those are what we call ghost followers. So they would follow my 13-year-old girl and they wouldn't say anything. They wouldn't do anything. They wouldn't like anything. They were just a ghost. And fine, that didn't bother me as much as some of the other things that happened. About week number 2, I was contacted by private message on that fake 13-year-old girl account by a 26-year-old man. And so he contacted her, said, hey, I said, hey, back. And he started a discussion. He says, look, I'm a 26-year-old Marine sergeant. I'm stationed in Afghanistan. This was 2013-14 when we were still in Afghanistan. He says, I'm a 26-year-old Marine sergeant. I'm a sniper on rooftops. It's not as exciting as it looks like on the movies. So I just talk to people on my satellite phone through Facebook to keep me awake and keep my platoon of people safe. So I said, okay, well, let's chat. So we start chatting. Within about 15 minutes, without a warm up or anything, he asked my 13-year-old girl to send him nude photos of herself. And I'm like, no, I'm 13. I don't do that. I've never done that. Can't do that. Well, he talked to me a little bit longer and then the day ended. So I didn't talk to him again until the next day. Well, the next day he asked my girl, he goes, hey, do you really live in Meridian, Idaho is where I was at, which is right next to Boise, Idaho. And I said, yep, I'm 13. I go to this school and I live in Meridian, Idaho. And he said, look, next week I have a week long, maybe 2 weeks long, I don't know what they call it, leave, because he'd been there for 6 months. And he sent me a picture of a nice Boise restaurant. He says, because you've been such a great friend, I want to take you to a nice Boise restaurant when I'm in town to say thank you. He sent me a picture of the nice menu, the nice dinner jacket he was going to wear, the nice car he was going to pick my girl up in, and wanted me to agree to a date. Well, I checked my schedule. I talked to my boss and I had nothing going on. So I said, yeah, I'd love to go on a date with you. So then began what we call the grooming process. So he said, hey, look, when I come pick you up next week, will you wear this? Sure. Well, can I give you a hug? Sure. Can I give you a peck on the cheek? Sure. And then things got progressively worse until they were very much a sexual conversation. So by the end of the week, I mean, I had plenty of charges to put on him for talking to a little kid like this. And I told him that girl was, 13, probably 50 different times during the conversation. So date night came and he showed up right on time. I arrested him, put him in the back of my car. After reading him his rights, I said, hey, where's your car? And he goes, I don't have a car. How'd you get here from your house? I don't have a house. Where's your phone? I don't have a phone. I'm like, you're like a homeless guy. And he goes, yep. He goes, I've been homeless for about 3 years. And I said, what about the military? Because I've never been in the military. It's just a story I have. And so I did a search warrant on 2 of his Facebook accounts that I knew he was using. And when I got the data back from Facebook, I saw through this guy's actions that he was going to our public library every day and using the public computer and friending young girls on Facebook. In fact, all of them were middle school girls, no high school girls. They were too old already. So he'd friend middle school girls, probably 100 a day. And out of those 100, probably 95% of them accepted him just because they had friends in common. Well, in my own school district, I was able to identify about 25 kids who had sent him nude photos of themselves. Right? There's many, many more who had sent nude photos, but the ones that I was able to identify was about 25. I was able to identify about 4 or 5 girls that had actually gone on dates with him, a homeless guy, which was crazy. And it was shocking and it was unbelievable. So the mayor of my city and the chief of police said, hey, look, we want to know if this is a big problem here or if it's a one-off event. So myself and another school resource officer, that summer, we made fake accounts, we parked them. We ended up arresting 14 men that came to our city thinking they were going to have sex with underage kids. Now, we arrested 14. In reality, we probably could have gotten, 5 a day, every day for the entire summer because there was that many men willing to come and have sex with underage kids. And we plastered it all over the place that we were 13. So this made us realize this is a huge problem, and it's going on right here in our town, and kids are falling for this all the time. So through that, I got to look at a lot of accounts from predators. I got to look at a lot of kids' accounts. I talked to a lot of kids. I became the go-to guy for any kind of activity on social media, and some of those things are what I am going to share with you today. So the first thing I want to talk about always is naked photos. So naked photos are one of the bigger problems that I have going on with social media these days. Many kids are sending out naked photos of themselves. Now in Idaho, if you're under the age of 18 and you send out a naked photo of yourself, it's a misdemeanor crime. If you do it a second time, it's a felony crime. If you're in possession of a picture of somebody under the age of 18, it's a misdemeanor crime. If you do it a second time, it's a felony. Or if it's somebody who's 3 years younger than you or more, then it's a felony right away. So if a 11th grader has a picture of a seventh grader, that's a felony right away. You go straight to jail. So as I'm talking about naked pictures, people have a hard time imagining their kids are going to send out naked photos of themselves. Like, yeah, oh, hey, Gomez, my kid is so embarrassed they wouldn't even take their clothes off to take a shower if they didn't have to. Well, unfortunately, as soon as a kid gets a cell phone or smartphone, and even if they're on iPads, if they're watching a lot of TV, they're going to start getting sexualized, right? Every TV show has some kind of sexualization, and all the social media definitely has a lot of sexualization. So they are being groomed over the years by tech companies, number one, but by adults all over the world who are talking to kids and want to basically force their beliefs on kids that they should be sexualized, and they are being very successful at it. But let me tell you a few little stories of personal stories of things that I've seen. So I had a seventh grade girl who's very churchy, who dressed nice, talked nice, was very community oriented. She came into my office and she was very upset because the boys wouldn't ask her to our little chaperone dance at the middle school. Well, as I tried to explain to her that, hey, that's okay. You have your whole life for boys. To her, she's a young girl. All her friends are being asked. That's what she wanted. Well, I don't know that I talked her into her out of it, but she was still upset when she left my office. Well, about 7 months later, I was teaching another school, a different class, and a probably 13 or 14-year-old girl came up to me after my class and said, hey, Gomez, I shared my photo with a boy at a different high school, and now he's sharing that with everybody. So I'm really afraid of what's going to happen. And so I went and talked to that boy at that different high school, and I searched his phone, and he had about 17 photos of nude middle school girls. One of them was my little churchy girl that I knew very well, which broke my heart. Number one. Number two, it scared me for her. And number three, I went and talked to her family, and she still had the whole conversation on her phone. So boys at our own school wouldn't talk to her because they knew her reputation. Enter a high school boy from a different school that doesn't know her, and he tells her how beautiful she is. He tells her he wants to take her on a date to the movies. They can share a popcorn. He tells her they can go to a football game together and dress up the same and be twinners. And so to this girl, you've got to imagine 12, 13, 14-year-old girl, this is her first relationship. Does she think she's in love? Yes. Does she think this is, frozen fairy tale land? Yes, right? I mean, these are powerful emotions that happen in young ladies, and the predators know this and use this against them. And so I saw on her phone where the boy had told her all these things. And then all of a sudden he said, hey, send me nude photos of you. And she said the right thing. She said, hey, it's against my God. It's against my family. It's against everything I believe. And I don't want to send you naked pictures. And the boy said the one thing that I see said to many girls always to get their naked pictures is, hey, I thought you were more mature than that. Look me up in a couple years and I'd love to take you out on a date. So this poor girl's relationship just came crashing down to zero in 0 seconds. So unfortunately, she did take off her clothing. She snapped a couple of photos and sent it to him, and her relationship was back on. Now, unfortunately, her and I together had to deal with those photos for the rest of her entire high school career, because about twice a year, somebody who that boy had shared those photos with would send her one of her naked photos and say, hey, I have your naked photo. I'm going to share them with your Instagram followers unless you send me a new one to me personally. And then we would have to deal with it because I would have to hunt that kid down and, if need be, arrest him. I think I ended up arresting two boys who just wouldn't stop. Kids are kids, so we try not to arrest them if we don't have to. If we can get the parents to be on board and take care of the situation appropriately, police understand, and we don't want to arrest so many people. So with girls, the predators know that they want to feel more mature. That is what they use against these girls to get their naked photos. With boys, it's a little different, right? And boys right now, that's the biggest scam going around right now is against boys. So I teach the boys stranger danger in real life. Online, it should be 100 times that, because you don't know who you're talking to. Well, picture a 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old boy gets contacted by 15-year-old hottie girl on Snapchat, on TikTok, on anything, how many boys in that age range are going to say stranger danger? Zero, right? They are going to say, hey, how are you doing? And this girl's going to talk to them. And after about 15 minutes, what this girl's going to do is lay it on thick. Hey, boy, you're super cute. I can't believe I met you. I'm so lucky today. And she's going to say, I think you're so special. I want to send you a special picture and I want you to send me one back. So this girl then sends this boy a topless picture of herself. How many boys are going to send one back? Almost every one of them. Because as soon as they get that topless picture, biology takes over, right? They're no longer thinking straight. They're no longer thinking smart. Biology takes over. They've seen nakedness in front of them of who they're talking to. This is probably the first time in their life that this is happening. This is a crazy moment. So then the girl takes off all her clothes and sends a picture, and the boy asks the boy to send one back, and many of them send it back. Well, as soon as they send back the full nude photo, now we start the sextortion process. The boy's going to get a picture of his own picture, and the predator is basically going to tell him, hey, you have 2 hours to come up with $500 in iTunes cards, or I'm going to share this with your Instagram friends list, which they send them a copy of their Instagram friends list and a little video clip. Now, a lot of boys don't have $500 to buy iTunes cards with. So the predators will tell them how to do this. They'll say, hey, steal a credit card, whether it's your mom, your dad, your grandma's, your neighbors, steal a credit card, use it, buy iTunes cards, give us the numbers, and then this will all go away. The problem is it doesn't go away. If they pay the $500, the next week they're going to be asked to pay $500 more dollars and $500 more dollars. And there's no amount of money you can pay to make this stop. And so some kids end up indebted for years because they just pay this, pay this, pay this. Some kids take their own lives as opposed to having to tell their families what they've done. And that's super sad. But this is happening to so many boys these days. There's not a day goes by that I don't get a report from somebody that's had this happen to them. I've probably had 5 or 6 boys at my own school that's only got 300 kids report this problem to me. And that's only the ones that have reported it to me. So this is a huge, huge problem. And so these 15-year-old hottie girls that I told you about, these are actually professional bad guys. Some of them are in Africa. Some of them are in the United States. And they basically go onto any pornography site, download a series of pictures of an 18-year-old model that looks like she's 15. And they use that to talk to boys all around the world and trick them into thinking that they're talking to a young girl, and then trick them into sending naked photos. And now that naked photo can be used against them for the rest of their lives, which is a huge problem. The other big problem with naked photos is they're going out so much these days that they're becoming their own currency, especially with sites like OnlyFans and lots of social media that is grooming kids to be worth their body parts. Right. So now I get junior and senior girls that say, hey, diplomas are for ugly kids because if you're pretty, you can sell your body basically for money, just pictures and videos. And on TikTok, if you watch TikTok videos from the kids' perspectives, you'll see all kinds of people showing how much wealth they got from OnlyFans. Movie stars are giving OnlyFans. Now, the movie stars, some of them are pretty legit, where if you buy an OnlyFans to the movie stars, you're going to get to see their bedrooms, their cars, their dinners, their friends. It's kind of a backstage pass. But for the most part, people are selling naked photos and videos on there. And so by currency, now you get a bunch of middle school kids, especially, that are addicted to vaping. And vaping is huge. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But now you get a kid that's addicted to nicotine and wants to buy a vape from somebody, and she doesn't have enough money. And vapes for the kids in the middle school are 3 times what they cost on a regular person. So if somebody buys a vape for 15, they sell it to middle school kids and high school kids for 45. It's a huge markup, but because there's illegalness to it, they mark it up. Well, so now you got a 13, 14-year-old girl addicted to nicotine, needs her nicotine fix, doesn't have the money. So these high school boys will say, hey, send us a topless picture and we'll give you a vape. Send us a nude photo and we'll give you a vape. Send us a video, we'll give you a vape. So it becomes its own currency. Now, the boys can use the same currency. However, the boys usually use somebody else's nude photos. So if they want to buy marijuana or something, they'll say, hey, look, I've got cheerleader, number 6, who's, I've got a video of her having sex with her boyfriend. What's that worth as a discount for marijuana? So everybody starts using this as a currency. You can buy phones with it. You can buy drugs. You can use it for all kinds of things, but as a currency, because kids have been groomed for so long to do this. which also puts kids right into sex trafficking, right from their own bedrooms, which is a crazy thing, right? That is sex trafficking 101 in the United States from their own bedrooms, is that kids are trading their body parts, pictures, and videos for money, for drugs, for all kinds of things. Okay, so how big a problem is naked photos? By my own calculations, and I teach all around the country and see all kinds of things, I would say by 11th grade, about 80% of girls have sent out their nude photos. By about 8th grade, about 50% of kids have sent out their nude photos. And I take many reports from kids who are 10, 11, 12 who have sent out naked pictures of themselves because they've been so groomed. As soon as they get any kind of electronics, including Roblox, they are already being groomed to send out their naked photos, which is a crazy, crazy thing. And a lot of parents have a hard time believing that number of 80% and 50%. But if you have a teenager, here's how you pose the question. Hey, look, I listened to this guy, Officer Gomez, last night, who works in the schools, and he says by 11th grade, about 80% of girls have sent out their nude photos, and see what they say. I've asked people on my Facebook page to ask their teenagers that question. And I mean, by a strong majority, they say that I'm right? Because the kids at the school know how many people are sending naked photos, which is a crazy, crazy, crazy thing. Okay, so let's move on to talk about some of the applications and what they do and what the problems with them are. So by far, the most popular application is Snapchat. The reason it's popular is because it hides things from parents automatically, and it's very predator friendly. And what I mean by predator friendly is almost all predators, when they are doing sextortion schemes, um, and sextortion basically is, hey, give us money in exchange for us not sharing your intimate whatever we have of you. But almost all predators migrate kids to Snapchat, whether it's from Discord, from Stitch, from Roblox, from Instagram. In order to do their dirty business, they go to Snapchat. And the reason they do this is because even if I, police officer, am getting a search warrant or a subpoena for Snapchat, Snapchat actually deletes the peer-to-peer conversations, so they don't have to give them to me. Right. So when I say, hey, I need you, Snapchat, to give me all these conversations because I'm investigating a crime, they give me all the conversations they have, but they've deleted the peer-to-peer conversations. So there's no evidence. Unless the victim screenshotted some evidence, which they usually don't, I have no evidence to go on. So it's basically a safe way for them to sextort kids, which is a crazy thing. The other problems with Snapchat is they have live mapping. And a lot of kids say, oh, I'm in ghost mode, so you can't see my mapping. Yeah, they're in ghost mode most of the time, but they almost always turn it on at times. And the problem with this is that, especially if kids have sent out nude photos, boys or girls, and now some predator has their nude photo and they want to come see them at school, at work, at home, well, they know where they go to school. They know where they work. They know where they're going to go play volleyball on Friday night. They know where they're going to be playing football because they have their Snapchat map that they turn on and off for people to see what they're doing. Another thing with Snapchat is, in the last couple months, it has given everybody an AI friend, basically an artificial intelligence buddy. You can name it whatever you want. And kids are using this AI buddy to help them with homework. They're using it as a psychologist, as a counselor, as a dating friend, as a sex advice person. They are using this AI buddy like it's a person that they know. And it's not. This is not real. And AI is very, new to everybody. We still don't know the ins and outs of it. We shouldn't be testing it on, thousands and millions of kids who have Snapchat and are using it for all kinds of things that I don't even know all the things they're using it for yet. Snapchat also has its own secret pin-coded vault. So on my Facebook page, which I think they're going to share at the end, I have specific instructions how you go into share a picture, and you go to My Eyes Only, and they have a pin-coded picture vault where the kids keep pictures that they don't want you to see. And unless you have the pin code, you are not getting into that vault, no matter what. I can't subpoena Snapchat for that vault, nothing, because they say they're not going to give it up. Oh, kind of frustrating sometimes. Snapchat is also the number one drug dealing platform there is. If you're going to sell drugs to school kids, you're going to use Snapchat. And I know I've used my fake Snapchat to order heroin. I've ordered methamphetamine to the local parks that are right next to the schools. But I'm sure I could order actually stuff to the school. I just never do because that would put kids in danger, and I don't do that. But it is very, very easy to get drugs on Snapchat. The other up and coming platform for selling and buying drugs is Telegram. Telegram is kind of new. It's been out for a while, but it's starting to gain popularity. It's geo-based drug dealing and sex dealing. So you sign up for Telegram, you say, hey, show people near me, and it's going to show you they're 2 miles away, they're 3 miles away, they're 6 miles away. And when you click on it, you're going to have lots of drugs available, lots of sex available, and it's a crazy platform. So TikTok is probably the number 2 platform that people want to have. TikTok used to be called Musically, and it has some good aspects to it where, you can do dances, you can do lip syncing, those things were all right. But when it became TikTok, it gained huge popularity. And so what started happening is kids started posting videos, and adults all around the world started liking their videos. And the more skin you show, the more they like it. And so let's go with the very first application that TikTok, or the first challenge that TikTok did, was the plank challenge. And so essentially, you start in push-up position, facing the camera that's on the floor with you. And when the music starts, you go to plank position, to push-up position, to plank position, to push-up position. Now, if you do this, you're going to get 5 to 20 likes, maybe 30 likes, 50 likes if you have a lot of friends. Well, what young girls discovered very quickly is if they wore a loose-fitting shirt, that camera would be looking right down their shirt, instantly causing them to go to 5, 10, 20, 30,000 likes. And then if they wore some kind of frilly bra or no bra at all, now we're up in the 500,000 like mark and almost going viral. A crazy thing, right? So what are the teaching kids? There's 500,000 adult males probably all around the world who are liking this 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old girl doing something on TikTok. Well, the kids want to be recognized. They want to be valued at something, and that is their value. And they know that by showing more skin, they're going to get more likes. This is an awful way to be, but that is the way it's going. And so then over time, kids know, hey, if I need acceptance, if I need to feel like I'm worth something today, I'm going to show more skin. Some of the other challenges include, the tattoo challenge, right? Where, hey, show us your most private tattoo, your most expensive tattoo, your most meaningful tattoo, right? All these challenges are just meant for kids to show skin. The more skin they show, the more likes they get. Now, for boys, we have to do a little bit different challenges, right? For boys, you go hit your friend over the head with a shovel and do something violent. Well, now you're going to get viral. If you steal a car or destroy something, you're going to get viral. If you bully somebody or, bully a teacher or do something weird to a teacher, you're going to get viral. Some of the other dangerous challenges, we have the before after challenge, which is, this is me before alcohol, this is me after alcohol, this is me before drugs, this is me after drugs. And when you put these challenges up, they get a lot of popularity. And there's so many people that are watching these and giving their approval that that's what the world is going to. It's awful. I didn't make the rules, but this is how this works. So the next one is OnlyFans. We talked a little bit about OnlyFans. OnlyFans is like Instagram, but pay-per-view. And so you can pay between $4 and $40 a month, I think, to subscribe to somebody's OnlyFans. Now, when you do that, you get unlimited access to their, basically adult Instagram, where they have videos of them, full sexual acts with their partners or just photos of girls. But you have this basically membership to their account. And on TikTok, well, let's go back to TikTok a second. A lot of girls will post their number of followers and how much they're getting paid. And you got these average looking girls who have, 3,000 followers at $10 a month. They're making a lot of money. And then they show their flashy cars. They paid off their house. And you can do this. It's not as easy as it looks, but you can do this, which kind of grooms kids to want to do this. The other option on OnlyFans is to pay per picture. So somebody will put a picture on there. I don't know if you can see half the picture or a blurry picture, but then you pay $1 to uncover it. And so I've had 13, 14, 15-year-old girls who start an OnlyFans account, and they put 10 pictures of themselves up, and they start making thousands of dollars. And this is you get income every month, right? You get residual income because this month, this many followers are going to do it. Next month, you're going to have new people that join and new people that are going to pay $1 for this. And so for those 10 pictures, you can get paid for the next, year or two, and it's going to dwindle because you're going to lose your popularity. But then all you got to do is put another picture up, and now your popularity goes up. Now you're getting paid. And so I've had calls from all around the United States. I've actually taken a couple reports myself from middle school, high school girls who parents discovered they have, $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 in their Venmo account or PayPal account or something like that. Now, for those of you that think that it's hard for middle school girls to come up with an account, it's not. There's a lot of 18-year-old boys now who are basically digital pimps, and they say, "Hey, I'll give you, my account number, and you just give me 10% of whatever you bring in." And so they just go to the bank and withdraw the money and give it to these girls when necessary. Crazy talk. So next is going to be Instagram. Now, a lot of parents have Instagram, so you know what it looks like. There's pictures, there's videos on there. Um, in the kid world, though, they have multiple accounts. So on each phone, when you log into Instagram, you can have up to 5 accounts, and you can find your second, third, fourth, and fifth accounts by just clicking their name at the top and dropping down. And so their main account that they show mom, dad, and grandma and grandpa is called their main account. Every other account is called their spam accounts, or they call it their Finsta or their Cinsta accounts. Although I haven't heard any kids use that for a long time. That has been used in the past, but most of them just call it their spam accounts. And so those are for groups of friends, or those are for their smoking pictures, their drinking pictures, their party pictures, because those get them a lot more likes than the, horses and butterflies that they show mom and dad. So understand the kids have sneaky ways of doing things. Now, Instagram also has disappearing messages, just like Snapchat does. It's called vanish mode. So if you have Instagram and you have a personal friend that you're talking to or a family member, if you go to send them a message and you swipe from the middle of the screen to the top, it'll say, "Hey, enter vanish mode." Once you enter vanish mode, those messages will disappear when the other person reads those messages. So parents are not going to see that if a kid is talking to somebody in vanish mode. But just know that this is there. The other thing that happens with Instagram that's hugely disturbing is I call them smasher pass lists. So a kid in middle school or high school will make a fake Instagram page and they'll call it Smasher Pass. And they will take a picture of their fellow student, and it's usually girls, and they'll say smash or pass. Then everybody at the school comes on and says, "Hey, I'll smash or I'll pass." And smash means that they would have sex with that person. Pass means no, thank you. This is hugely degrading to girls, whether you get a bunch of passes or whether you get a bunch of smashes. It's degrading either way, and it's a really awful way to bully kids, but it is very much bullying because whoever's the subject of those pictures really gets degraded. And sometimes they'll take 20 students a day and put them on this page. When these pages come up, there's no more work being done at school because everybody has to check their phones over and over and over again to see who's on the smasher pass list. Now, I get parents to call me, "Hey, Gomez, can you take this page down?" I cannot. It's freedom of speech, right? There's nothing illegal about them taking a picture of their fellow students fully clothed. So then what I have to do is have to get parents or students to complain about the page enough so that it triggers like a harassment report, and then Instagram will go through and review it for harassment. If they find it to be harassment, then what they'll do is they'll take it down. Unfortunately, they take it down. It takes a kid 5 minutes to put it back up again, right? They just get a new email address. They'll put it right back up. They still have a bunch of the same pictures. It's an awful thing. Other lists like this, we have the fight clubs. So here in Boise, the area code is 208. So it's 208 fights. And so we see kids setting up fights just to put them on this Instagram channel. You also have the hot or not. You have the rate my rack. You have the body count lists. So body count is mainstream media already. It's already in movies. If somebody asks you what your body count is, they want to know how many people you slept with in your lifetime. So the body count list, somebody will post a picture of a fellow student. Well, what do you think her body count is? What do you think his body count is? And then everybody starts guessing, and there's no checks or balances or reality to any of this. So it's just a bunch of bullying going on, and it's awful, right? And anybody that's been on these lists will tell you it's really awful, and there's not much you can do about it. Then, somebody puts you a picture of you on this list, you're on for the ride no matter what. All right, the next application is not so popular with middle and high school kids. It's actually popular with elementary kids, and that's Roblox. Roblox probably has the most predators of any of the other platforms because you have basically Roblox is a small blocky world, has some great learning opportunities. Great learning opportunities. It has like 600 mini games in it. You can learn to finance, to budget, to build things, but it's for kids that are 6 to 12. Now, when you label an application as that, you basically bow wrap your kids for the predators, because predators don't want to talk to kids. They know who's going to be on that application. It's going to be kids, and they start hunting. And I've arrested several predators myself who have multiple Roblox accounts because kids are easy prey, especially in that age group. And parents, unfortunately, are using Roblox as a babysitter. Back in my day, we used the Barney tape, right? We would put Barney in, rewind it, Barney, rewind it. It would give you a chance to get your chores done. You could go to the grocery store and grab some milk. Nowadays, Parents will put a kid on the couch, give them an iPad or give them a phone and put them on Roblox, and a kid will spend the next 3 days on that couch unless you force them to do something else, because that is how addictive that game is. Unfortunately, there's lots of predators talking to your kids, and I get parents that say, "Okay, I'm gonna turn off the chat." Now, turning off the chat feature does help, but it doesn't eliminate the predators, because the predators will make games in there for your kids to go play on, and they can write sexualizations on the wall. They can put pictures up. They can spell things out on blocks on the floor. They basically go to work on your kids the minute that you allow them on to any kind of internet connected game, right? And this goes for Fortnite. It goes for all kinds of games. The predators are there and start coming after your kids. Two of the applications lately where predators are going after kids is Fitbit and the Bible app, right? On Fitbit, it has its own forum, so predators know if you see a young person on there now, you can talk to them, and it actually gets tracked as fitness time because it's on a fitness app. But predators are on there. You can send pictures. Bible app is the same thing. Predators are going to places where they can find kids and where parents are falling asleep at the wheel. Roblox is one of those, really, really bad. So I always recommend for parents to be within sight of the screen. We have twin grandkids, and my wife and I will do puzzles at the table and watch them play right next to us so that we can make sure that nobody is doing anything inappropriate. And unfortunately, you're not going to catch it all before it happens, so you're going to have to discuss it as it happens, if you let them see this, right? They're going to see a naked person, or they're going to go walk into some kind of building that was completely innocent, and they're going to see people having sex, the little characters having sex. Well, guess what? Now you owe them a chat, because we've got to talk about those things. So, applications, lots and lots of predators, right? Now, I always joke on my Facebook page. I always say, hey, here's my updated list of internet connected games that are safe for kids. And I don't put anything. And so parents are, well, where's the list? No, that is the list. There's no safe application. No matter how much monitoring you have, if it's an internet connected application that has any kind of internet ability and talkability, there's no safe place. Even like Spotify, people find a way to talk in Spotify. And I asked Spotify itself, hey, can people talk to each other on Spotify? Oh, they said, absolutely not. And then I went and took a report where a girl and her boyfriend were talking through their music list. So the girl made a music list and called it whatever. Well, then she shared it with the boy, who comes and changes the name of the music list to whatever he wants to tell the girl. Then she comes and changes the name. And they carried on a conversation like this because mom was watching everything else. Kids will always find a way. It's crazy, 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 crazy. All right. So we have, let's see, 8 minutes before we go to see if there's any questions or not. But as you can see, lots of things lead to sexualization, lead to sex trafficking, and social media and sex trafficking go hand in hand. Social media and drugs and sex trafficking go right hand in hand. And so right now, the biggest drug issue I have at the schools is vaping. And what I want to tell parents is vaping is being marketed to kids like you can't believe, right? So the vapes come in pretty colors. They come in awesome names, right? Cotton candy, Peter the Magic Dragon, cotton corn, all these things that come super marketed for kids. They smell nice, they look nice, they're not that expensive, and the amount of nicotine in vapes is just ridiculous. So a cigarette has about 4 or 5 milligrams of nicotine that get to your lungs when you're smoking a cigarette. Vapes have 50 milligrams of nicotine. So kids are getting highly addicted to nicotine, which is hard to beat. And every time I catch kids with a nicotine vape and I call the parents, hey, your kids were, addicted to nicotine, they have their own vape. And the parents said, well, they're not going to vape anymore in my house. I'm going to put a stop to it. And they think they're going to use their parental authority to make them stop vaping. You are not going to use your parental authority. It's an addiction. And not only are the kids addicted to the high level content of nicotine, they're also addicted to the social aspect of it, right? And the social aspect of it is now all your friends vape. So on Friday night, your biggest priority is who can we buy vapes from and where are we going to go vape? And unfortunately, there's a lot of parents who say, well, vaping is better than cigarettes. And they open up their house to their kids to vape and their friends to vape, which is awful. And if I catch parents like that, I write them a ticket for party host house, which costs them about, $200 or $300, because that's a crazy thing, especially when you're letting other people's kids come over. Now, kids are so addicted to these vapes, they can't make it through a class time at school. So what they do is they rubber band one of the small bar vapes to their wrist and wear a hoodie over it. And they can actually smoke that during class, and they inhale it from their wrist and then they exhale into their shirt. And because they're smokeless and odorless anyways, The teacher has no idea they're vaping, right? And if they don't vape during class, they will get a giant headache, they'll get withdrawals, and they will become monsters right there in class because they are jonesing for their nicotine hit. Marijuana is much the same way as the nicotine. And to be truthful, about half the vapes I'm getting have THC in them now. Idaho's still a holdout state. We're not allowing any kind of even medicinal marijuana, but unfortunately, all the states around us allow it. So there's plenty of marijuana available for the schools. There's plenty of vaping available for the schools. Now, one of the biggest drawbacks for kids that I talk to them about is that when you start vaping, you give up everything else, right? Addiction, giving up everything for one thing. Now, kids can be addicted to THC, they can be addicted to nicotine, they can be addicted to opiates, they can be addicted to gambling, to, pornography, all kinds of things they can be addicted to. But I watch kids who in sixth grade who, bring their guitar, do this, that, or the other. As soon as they start vaping, their friends start changing. They start not going to sports. They start not wanting to do anything else but vape and play video games. This is a huge problem, and it will last their entire life. Now, I'm starting to get in the summertime. I always get job recruiters that, hey, Gomez, do you have some kids that can come work for me for the summer? And now they're starting to specifically, I don't want anybody that vapes because they can't go more than 30 minutes without vaping, and this job requires 45 minutes of constant whatever. We don't have time for them to vape. Other drugs that we have to worry about, prescription pills are a huge thing, right? And especially with fentanyl coming across the border and the amounts that is coming across in, if fentanyl is coming to a school near you, no matter what. So get ready for it. We've already had some schools, I think in New Jersey, reported some fentanyl deaths. I haven't gotten fentanyl at my school or any of the schools around me. I have gotten fentanyl from a few of our citizens, but I haven't seen it at the school yet. But it's only a matter of time. I usually get Xanax bars are the ones that are the most popular at the school. Adderalls are popular at the school. Any kind of pain meds, Norcos, Vicodins, those things are popular at the school. They usually go for about $10 a pill, and they're not hard to get. And the kids get those pills. What they do is they crush it and they throw it in a Gatorade. So that way during class, they can sip it for the whole class and, kind of deal with the boredom, especially if they're not allowed to use cell phones. Let's see, some of the other things that you're seeing as far as drugs and social media on TikTok. I've seen ashwagandha become kind of popular in the last couple months. Ashwagandha is like kind of like some kind of a pill you can get at Rite Aid. You don't have to have any age requirement for it. They sell it to you like vitamins. And on TikTok, people seem to take it for like a week and it makes all their senses go numb. So that if they got some sad life, then they're a zombie and they don't care about their life or anybody else. And they're putting it on TikTok. Hey, this is me before ashwagandha. This is me, 3 days in ashwagandha. This is me a week. We also have stuff like kratom that's sold at the gas stations. Kratom, we call it the gas station cocaine or gas station heroin because you can buy it at a gas station. You don't need an ID because there's no age requirement. You have kratom, you have Delta 8, you have Delta 9. Right now, a big one on YouTube and TikTok is xylazine, which the short for xylazine is tranq, TRANQ. Xylazine is some kind of a thing used by veterinarians, and people have discovered they can buy it from like D&B Supply and inject themselves with it and be high for the whole day. And you see people that are on tranq, they kind of hunch their backs over and they're zombies for the entire day, which is a crazy, crazy thing. So be aware of some of these things that are going around. LSD it comes and goes. I've never seen LSD in a lot. I've gotten it at the high school a couple of times in my career in 10 years. So it's around it, and it looks like the LSD of the 60s on a little stamp. The thing about LSD is super easy to hide. Also, those flashbacks and the hallucinations can last your whole life. And I have some old people in my town, and I think they did too much LSD because they spend their days kind of being weirded out and can't make it to wherever they're going. They need to have like a license plate so that we can return them home because they did so much LSD in the 70s and 80s. All right, so we are almost to the point where we're going to ask for questions. Just so you know, I have a lot of social media. If you on Facebook is probably what I have the most stuff on. I have YouTube videos. You could, lots of these little things I break into 7-8 minute videos. They're good to watch with your kids because afterwards you can have a discussion. Hey, Officer Gomez said this. What do you think about that? What have you seen? What can we do? All those things are great discussions to have with your kids. The number one way to deal with everything that's going on with social media is have talks about it. Talk with your kids. Let's go over news headlines. Let's talk, repeat, talk some more, because you have to set them up. You have to tabletop discuss. You have to coach your kids through this stuff at school, because even if you keep phones away from your kids completely, their friends are going to share it with them at school. They're going to share it with them on the bus. So you've got to prepare them for this stuff. Now, if you decide to give your kid a phone, especially a smartphone, your pornography discussion better be on point, because they are going to see pornography. Even if you don't give them a phone, starting in third grade, somebody's going to start showing them pornography on their phones, whether it be through Omegle or just some video that somebody sent them. They're going to start seeing it, and it's a crazy thing. So the number one way, parents are the number one anti-drug. Parents are going to be the number one way kids stay out of trouble on social media. Parents are going to be the number one answer always. And I get parents who always talk to me, well, I wish the government would do something. No, the government never fixes these things. This has got to be a parent thing. It's got to be an education thing too. So we need to get education in the schools, but we need a lot of other things in the schools first. So I'm putting it on you parents, because you are the best defense against all of this. As you parents, discussions, family time, family building, all these things that you should do anyways, and that are enjoyable if you do them correctly. All right. So do we have any questions? I was going to see if we've got any questions onto the YouTube channel. That was a lot in 50 minutes.
That was a lot, yes. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that we should not expect the government to do anything. I think we all know what happens when the government gets involved. Nothing good. So, yes,
No.
parental responsibility is number one. So I just want to say, I mean, for everybody listening, I'm sure it was hard hearing all those stories. I mean, especially for you, like you knew some of them personally. I can't imagine how difficult that is. And also for me, like I hear these stories a lot, and every single time, yeah, we can group them into, well, here's another statistic, but it's another kid, and I hate hearing stories like this. Um, so I did have a couple questions. Hey, Mama, just a minute. Did have a couple questions, and the kids have questions too. Sure, hold on. Thank you. So my first question is, so you mentioned that the sex and drugs and smoking are all interrelated. Out of those three, which one would you say has the longest term negative effect on a child's life, if they're interacted with one of those at all?
So the drugs is going to have the biggest effect, right? The drugs
Okay.
will ruin families for the rest of your life. I tell kids, if you choose alcohol, tobacco, or drugs, your 4-year-old self is going to know it. It's going to affect your grandkids. It's going to affect your kids. It's going to affect your everything about you.
Hmm. Mhm, mhm. From the stories that you've had, or sorry, from the experiences that you've had and the stories that you've known, what would you say is the best way, or at least some of the ways that a child can recover from the experiences of sextortion, having their photos shared or leaked, or however that happens? Have you seen any good ways for them to recover and heal from that?
There are some great ways to recover. Number one, when kids run into problems like that, I would suggest some family counseling, just to kind of get a base level, and then we have to build up our self worth. Right? I ask kids all the time, "Hey, what are you worth? What are you good at? What do you know?" And a lot of kids have no self worth, because all their worth is what their likes and views are. So then, as a family, let's start building up self worth. One of the quick ways we take in high risk teens in our house. One of the quickest way to build up self worth: get their homework done, right? Because that gives them control. It gives them a sense of belonging, all kinds of things. But on top of that, family building. And like a good family building exercise is pick any kind of a sports team, buy some swag, and root for them on a regular basis. And do it without cell phones. That way you spend time together. You're all going for the same thing. And once you get good at it, invite another family. Hey, you know what? Tuesday night, the Chargers are playing the whoever. We do it cell phone free. We're going to have nachos. Why don't you come over, enjoy, and we'll have a good time.
I love the idea of replacing a negative experience with a positive one. Well, I think my last question to wrap up is, what would you say if you had a parent and they had, I guess, a 5-year-old? No, we're going back so young. I had a 5-year-old. What would you say is the number one way to prevent all the horrific stories that you've had to share today?
Keep them off the internet. Now, that doesn't mean keep them off electronics, right? Because there's a lot of electronics that don't have to be on internet. right? You can download games. Minecraft is a good example of a game that kids can play that you don't have to be on the internet. There are other games that you can play that are very good that, there's learning programs that you don't have to be connected for the internet. You can connect once, you can make all the updates and then unplug it completely and then just spend family time. That's for every age group. It's going to be spend family time because ultimately family time is where you as a parent get to show your kids how they should act in different situations and set the example and teach them your family values.
Wonderful. So again, I just want to point out that we have the twofold part of removing the negative and adding in the positive. So I just want to encourage all the parents to really take that to heart. We don't want to have just the big bad parents who take away the internet. You have to also include the quality family time. So thank you so much for emphasizing that.
Well, you're very welcome, and I've seen it work lots and lots of times, right? And you get to hear all the bad stories because that's what I'm highlighting. But there's a ton of good kids and a ton of good families, and I've seen great kids come out of very poor and bad situations. And there's family time is family time, no matter what color, richness, belief you are. Family time is family time, and that can conquer almost everything. Oh, you're muted.
There we go. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. So, everyone, I just want to make sure you can find Officer Gomez on YouTube, on Facebook, as well as Instagram, correct?
Yeah, and TikTok as well.
And TikTok, there we go. So, please follow him. You're going to get great tips, and it's really going to help you out. So, make sure you do that. Well, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks for having me, everybody. Good luck. Stay strong.
Let me say bye. Okay.